All right, calculus, welcome to Yak Math videos for your Chapter 1 quiz number 2 review video with all the fine answers. Your quiz is Tuesday. You've had this review in your possession for a while now, so let's check them, guys. All of number 1, all the answers are written on this page. Here you got to get the same base. 27 is 3 to the third. You know the power to a power, you multiply. You subtract here. So actually, which has more, 3s? Technically the bottom would, right? You'd rather be 1 in debt than 6. Anyway, you can just subtract. -6 minus a -1 is -5. That's 1 over 3 to the 5th, which is 1 over 243. Get the same base on B. 32 is 2 to the 5th. 4 is 2 squared. A power to a power. You multiply. 2 to the 15th. 2 times 2, -4. 15 minus the -4 is 19. 2 to the 19th, huge. Just write it as that. Anyway, guys, what we learned, we're taking the 5th root of x to the 7. So this is 7 over 5 as the exponent. So it's 1 over x to the 7/5. That's pretty easy. Guys, what you're going to do here is you're going to take the 4th root of 81. The 4th root of 81 is 3. They're going to take that 3 and raise it to the numerator, raise it to the 5th power, 243. Here, take the 4th root of 16, you get 2. Take that 2 to the 5th power, you get 32. You got to square 3, 9. Power to a power, you get 8s. All right, 9 over 18, 1/2. What has more y's, top or the bottom? The bottom has 3 more. 3 to the 4th, 81. 2 times 4 gives you b to the 8th. When you multiply with the same base, you add the exponents. 81 b to the 13th. Take 2, raise it to the 3rd power, you get 8s. That's x to the 1st. 1 times 3 is 3. Again, these are basic exponent rules you've been doing since pre-algebra, so that answer should be pretty easy for you to get. Anyway, folks, there's imaginary 2 on the outside. You're really taking the square root of a, you're raising it to the 1/2 power. 2 times 3, you're really taking the 6th root of b, b to the 1/6. Here you're taking the 4th root of both a and b, so you have a to the 1/4, b to the 1/4. The top has more a's. 1/2 minus 1/4 is not 1/2. Right there. All right. So that is a boo-boo. That's a to the 1/2. Anyway, the bottom has more b's. If you do a 4th minus a 6th, all right, or you can do, get the same base. 1/6 is 2 12ths. 1/4 is 3 12ths. Anyway, you would have b to the -1/12. There's more b's on the bottom by 1/12. So b to the 1/12 is in the denominator. Guys, you add the exponents when you multiply with the same base. So 5n minus 3 as the exponent. Some of us forgot the exponents on our homework. So that's good that you did this subtraction and got 4n minus 8. Remember, that is the exponent, x is the base. All right, 2 to the 4th is 16. Power to power, you get 12. Add the exponent, 16x to the 16th. This one here, you're taking the cubed root of x squared, so that's x to the 2 over 3. And then there's an imaginary 2 there. 3 times 2 is 6. Y to the 1/6. You're taking the square root or 1/2 power, raising x and y both to the 1/2. Again, what has more x's, top or bottom? The top does. 2/3 minus 1/2 is 1/6. What has more y's, top or the bottom? The bottom does. 1/2 minus 1 over 6 is a third. Doesn't matter if you do 1/6 minus 1/2, get a -1/3 and put it at the bottom. Remember, negative exponents go south. All right, I did change one thing in 2. There's a few oopsie questions in here. 2a is going to stay the same. We're going to have it on another page here. Approximate the slope of each function at the given points. Again, these are all the things you should know. I'm not going to ask you 3 of these on your quiz. This is a good one, though. So I'm given f of x is 3x squared plus 1. I want to approximate the slope at x equals 3. So I plug 3 in for x. I get 28. 3 28s is like my first point. If I check it from the right, I'm going to use 3.1 and 3.01. Simply plug those in for x. It's calculator work. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find the slope, difference of y's over difference of x's. Okay, I'm going to use this as my first point. That's my first second point. That's my second point. So I'm going to find the slope twice. Anyway, when I do the slope between those 2 points here, I get 18.3. And I'm going to do the slope between these 2 points like we did in class. This minus this over this minus this, given right down here, 1803. Notice this tends to, looks like it's going towards 18. Check it from the left. So I'm going to go 2.9, 2.99 for x. Just plug that in, square it, multiply it by 3, and add 1. Those are the 2 y values that I get. Again, difference of y over difference of x. This is what I get. Difference of y over difference of x. Again, I'm always using 328. Anytime I'm doing a slope, I'm using that exact 328. All right? And then just comparing it with that. 4 different slope calculations. Anyway, 17.7 to 17.97, going towards 18, so my slope is 18. Now, I made a boo-boo on b because the answer comes out to be the slope is going towards 1 over root 5. You'll learn that later when we're actually doing like what is normally thought of as calculus. So what I wanted is to change b to 3x minus 3 in the square root. So when you plug 4 in, you get the square root of 9, which is 3. So 4 comma 3, that's a good point to use. All right. So from the right, so I'm going to use 4.1 and 4.01. Just simply multiply it by 3, subtract 3, take the square root. Anytime we're dealing with decimals, we should really write out at least 5 numbers after the decimal. All right? Do difference of the y's over, actually we'll do it here, difference of the y's over difference of the x's. We get that. Do difference of the y's over difference of the x's. We get this. Looks like that's very close to 0.5, which is a half. Going from the left, how about 3.9, 3.99? All right, difference of the y's over difference of the x's. We get that right here. You can pause this whenever you need to, jot something down. That's an 050424. And one more time, difference of the y's over difference of the x's down here. It's literally right above a half. Anyway, the slope's going towards 1/2. All right, both numbers, so my slope would be 1/2. Everything is going towards 1/2 here. Let's take a look at 2c. All right, it's given f of x is x minus 1 squared plus 3 at x equals 2. Again, plug 2 in for x. You're going to get 1 squared, which is 1, plus 3, 4, so 2, 4. I'm using, in all my slope calculations, plug 2.1 in for x, 2.01 in for x. That takes care of the right side. This is what you get for y. Just plugging it in. Use your calc. All right, difference of y over difference of x, 2.1. Difference of y over difference of x, 2.01. That's heading towards 2. Same thing here. Go from the left. All right, 1.9 at 1.99. Difference of y over difference of x. Difference of y over difference of x. We get that slope is 2. All right, let's take a look at 3. Most of 3 is on here. Find the inverse. So first off, f of x, same thing as y. So I'm just going to write y equals this. Then I switch x and y. All right? If I want to figure out what y is, I got to add 2 to both sides first. And I have y inside the square root. That's when I square both sides. Just write it as x plus 2. All of that squared equals 3 plus 4y. Subtract 3 from both sides. That now equals 4y. Divide both sides by 4. Instead of writing y, I'm going to write f inverse of x equals that. 3b, ran out of room. I wanted to put 3b over here. That's one of the, I would expect, you have 2 of these. I'd expect to see one of these for sure. Some of us had a little bit of issue on our homework with it. F of x is the same thing as y. So now these x's are both y's. That y is now an x. Multiply both sides by y plus 4. So really, you're cross multiplying 1 times this is just that. So you're going to get x times y plus 4x. Now, I want this negative 2 to be positive on that side, and I'm moving this over. I want to deal with less negatives. All right, now I got the y's together. I'm going to factor out the y. They both have y in common. I'm left with 3 minus x. I'm going to divide both sides by 3 minus x. F inverse of x gives you that answer. It's really not that hard of a question, guys. All right, it's all about Algebra 2. All about Algebra 2. Here, it already says y, so I'm going to write it as x equals natural log of y minus 2. Then I'm going to attach e as the base. That gets rid of that. Now I have e to the x is y minus 2. Add 2 to both sides. There's your answer. On D here, I'm going to write it as y equals, switch x and y. If I want to cancel out e, I'm going to attach natural log to both sides. 3y minus 5 comes on down. Add 5 to both sides. Divide by 3, f inverse of x, natural log of x plus 5 over 3. On E here, folks, again, this is y equals, switch x and y. Subtract 1 from both sides. Then you have root x. You're going to square both sides. X minus 1 parentheses squared is 2 minus 3y. Subtract 2 from both sides. And then divide by negative 3. Again, I don't want a negative in the denominator, so when I divide by negative, that 2 is going to be now positive. This quantity was positive, now it's negative, so just really the top flips, kind of. Everything has the opposite sign. All right, take a look at 3f. It's very similar to 3b. All right, so y equals 5 minus x over x plus 3. Switch x and y. Multiply x by y plus 3. I'm going to move the y over here. It was negative. I'm going to move the 3x over there. It is now negative. These both have a y. Take the y out. You're left with x plus 1. Divide both sides by x plus 1. F inverse of x gives you that fraction. All right. Take a look here. Next page, find the exact value. This is pretty easy. Again, 3 to what power gives you 243? That's the fifth. 2 to what power gives you 1 over 128? If 2 to the 7th is 128, then this is a negative 7. Literally just 5. Natural log of e to the x is just x, so that exponent's your answer. This is natural log of e